Now that Tampa's punched their ticket to the finals once again for the second consecutive year, we have quite a series on our hands now. So the Montreal Canadiens will once again be the underdogs in this series, and they seem to thrive with that being the narrative of their team in the media anyways. I don't think they see themselves as underdogs. I think they just see a great challenge ahead in the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they're ready to take on that challenge, but you bet the Lightning are going to be ready for Montreal as well. Let's get some numbers on these teams. Tampa Bay with a 37.7% success rate on their power play. The penalty kills 83%. Goals for 58, goals against 37. Montreal's power play 20.9%. It wasn't that long ago everyone was talking about the Habs power play, and not for good reasons, I might add. It was about how bad it was, and they seem to turn that around. Well, it's not like super stellar. It's been pretty respectable so far these last couple rounds of the playoffs. And I said Montreal, obviously, okay, their penalty killing is 93.5%. I want to mention that right away here because I said in the Vegas series that special teams could be the difference in that, because Vegas's special teams weren't that great and Montreal's was. And Carey Price and special teams ultimately was the difference for the Montreal Canadiens in that series. So their goals for throughout the playoffs have been 43, and their goals against 37. So not as big of a disparity there for goals for and goals against as Tampa. While Montreal was going to have their hands full regardless of who won the series last night, I think we can easily say that their hands are even more full now with them having the Tampa Bay Lightning as their opponent compared to the New York Islanders. No disrespect to the Islanders, but you know what, let's be honest, Tampa Bay is loaded up front. They have a great group of defensemen back there. They have one of, if not the best goalie in the league, although some will argue, and rightfully so, that Carey Price could be that right now. Now, what could separate these teams in this series is special teams once again, but this time it works in favor for Tampa rather than Montreal. And for the Lightning, obviously their power play has been terrific. Their penalty kill has been good, not as good as Montreal's, but it's been solid enough to carry them through these playoffs. And for Montreal, their power play, it's good. I mean, they'll be facing a pretty good penalty killing unit in Tampa, much better than Vegas's was. And obviously, Tampa's power play is, miles better than what Vegas's was, and that's going to be a big test for Montreal. Probably the best power play they've faced in these playoffs, although you could argue Toronto with all their skill on their power play unit, especially their first power play unit, was a great test for them. I mean, in fairness to the Leafs, though, they weren't exactly clicking along very well towards the end of the season, and it kind of carried over for them into the playoffs. But you got to give Montreal a lot of credit, too. They shut down some really good players there, so they do have the experience with that. And they're going to need to use that experience on the Tampa Bay Lightning's lethal power play as well. So the Lightning have the edge in forwards. They have the edge on D too, I think. And in net is the big one, is who has the edge there. I don't know, to be honest. I would say they're pretty even. Vasilevsky, I think he is the best goalie in the league. But right now, I would say Carey Price is probably playing like the best goalie in the league. So do you give the edge to Montreal? But I don't know, if Vasilevsky's really heavily tested too, he's probably going to come up with some miraculous saves of his own. So it's a little bit tough to say. I would say they're even in net. Maybe right now give the slight edge to Montreal. And for Montreal, they might want to roll with 5 or 6 defensemen in this one. They've been relying on their big four a lot in this series. And, they've been absolutely outstanding, the big four on the back end for Montreal. But at the end of the day, no matter how outstanding they are, those guys are human. They're going to wear out. You might want to put a guy like Alexander Romanov in just to lessen the workload on them. Obviously, the coaching staff doesn't have a lot of trust in Eric Gustafsson or John Merrill, as we can see by their ice time these last few games. So if you put Romanov in, it's a guy maybe you can play 15, 16 minutes, and you can take some minutes away from the heavily burdened big four that Montreal has. And they've been playing a lot of heavy minutes, so they might want to make that adjustment. Okay, now time for a prediction. Look, I've betted against Montreal all of these playoffs pretty much, except for round 2. I picked them to win over Winnipeg in 6. They ended up winning over the Jets in 4. But I'm going to have to bet against them again. I'm going to pick Tampa to win the Cup for the 2nd straight year in a row. For the Lightning, I know I've picked this number for them a lot to win series, and I'm going to say Lightning in 6. I just think with Montreal, they don't get enough zone time for my liking. That is a bit concerning. And with Tampa, the way their special teams are rolling, especially their power play, I think that could pose a huge problem for Montreal, so I'm gonna say Lightning in 6. Those are my thoughts on this series. Please let me know what you all think in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.